Summer routines live or die by how easy they are. And honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to Dawn of Sports. What a huge monster show we have for you. And I mean that literally, because not only are we talking about Justin Jefferson's brand new deal that broke at the time that we were even recording this podcast, we have his teammate, Harrison Phillips, who's also a huge beast in his own right on this show, not only talking about this brand new deal, but also Harrison's playmakers and his play on the field. So we've got a lot to get to. So I hope you just buckle up because it's going to be a good one.
Yes, welcome back to the Dawn of Sports. We have a lot of interesting conversations ahead, including Dawn's interview with Harrison Phillips from the Vikings. We're going to talk about the business. We're going to talk about the Lynx. We're talking about the Timberwolves, the Aurora. But as we're getting ready to record here, the Justin Jefferson news broke. So I wanted to talk with Dawn. Dawn, of course, covers the Vikings extensively for Fox 9. I do for the Star Tribune. And I'm going to start you with this, Dawn, before I get your thoughts. This is the least surprising breaking news I have ever had come across my desk. I mean, they were never not going to sign Justin Jefferson to this deal, despite all the stupid rumors we had to put up with around the draft. They were never not going to sign Justin Jefferson.
You know, I just hopped off a podcast that we did at Fox 9, and I said the same thing. I said, let me tell you something. The Will family, they have been as transparent and as honest as you can in the NFL, right? You don't want to give away everything, but Mark Wilf stood up in front of us in the summertime, I think more than a year ago, saying, we want Justin Jefferson. It is our priority to sign him. We want to get him to an extension. And people are like, yeah, that's just an owner talking. I'm like, well, they got you US Bank Stadium, right? They got you TCO Performance Center. Everything that anyone has asked for, get Brett Favre. Sure, we'll get Brett Favre. Whatever you want, they have gotten. So when I started hearing, they're going to trade him, I was like, that is not going to happen. My thing was, Justin just wanted to be happy. He is now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. 4 years, $140 million contract extension. And it includes $110 million guaranteed, $35 million a season. That is far beyond Nick Bosa, who is 5 years, $170 million, 122.5 guaranteed, right? $34 million a season. When I look at that, this is what Jets wanted. He wanted to be the top first of all, he just wanted to be the highest paid wide receiver. Now he's the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Everyone's saying, well, there's that standout between he and CD Lamb. Maybe that may have played into it. I mean, everyone wants those bragging rights, Jim, but there was no way that the Vikings were going to say, yeah, let's trade away the guy that we're trying to build our team around. Like, I just did not see that happening.
No, and this is a great move for the Vikings. They locked Jefferson in, most productive wide receiver in NFL history through 4 seasons. They lock him in for 4 years. He's not Stephon Diggs. He's not fake coughing so he can skip practice. He's not Randy Moss. I did
love Diggsy though, man. I'm just telling you that. But yes, they're totally different people.
He was entertaining. He also will destroy your team at some point. Randy Moss walks off the field in Washington, before they go play. I mean, Jefferson is not that guy. He's very good in the community. He's very good in the locker room. He's considered a leader. He's a worker. I think he got this thing done now. So he could come to all these practices and get used to working with his quarterbacks. There were no red flags with this guy. There was no way this was not going to happen. They were never going to trade him to the Patriots in the draft. They were never going to get rid of him. This is just the way it is. And this is a win for the Vikings. Congratulations to them. They got it done. This is a bigger win for Jefferson. Not only does he become the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, at least for a week. He also signed a 4-year deal. He will hit free agency again if the Vikings don't give him another huge deal 3 years in. He can go to free agency at the age 29, and he could get he's probably going to get a contract if he's healthy that makes this contract look silly.
Absolutely. And I want to head off of the pass fans that are going to complain now, right? Well, we know that we're spending all that money on him. We can't build the team around him, right? There's always going to be someone who's not happy. But if you let him walk, we would hear forever he'd be like the next Big Papi, right? I mean, so there's no making the fans, some fans get it. There's no making every single fan happy. But first of all, you pay him for what he's done. The kid has littered the NFL history books on a rookie contract. You pay for the potential because he only has shown signs that he's going to get better. And also, yes, what you just said, the leadership that this guy has in just his first few years in the league, he lifts all of his teammates up. And so, yes, he's not a quarterback, but you have this whole team that will listen to him. I remember some of the guys last year were like, wow, Justin Jefferson, like I was just traded here and he came over and he spent time with me and he talked with me and I'll go through a brick wall for that guy. Like I've been on teams where big stars, they don't even talk to us. They don't even talk to anyone else, let alone the new guys on the team. And so when you hear that, what happens around the league, you appreciate a Justin Jefferson even more as a person.
One more note on this, and you brought it up, the salary cap. NFL fans spend way too much time worrying about the salary cap. The Kansas City Chiefs gave Patrick Mahomes $500 million. They also re-signed Jones. They also re-signed Kelsey, and they've won 2 Super Bowls. If you have a good capologist, and the Vikings do, and Rob Brzezinski,
I want him to do my taxes.
Yeah, there's always a way. Okay, it's kind of funny money. It's not real. Okay, you can say, "Oh my God, we're taking an $85 million cap it." Well, you're still going to field a team, and you're going to field a competitive team if you have good personnel people. People worry about that stuff way too much. This is not going to keep them from winning. Finding the right quarterback is going to be the challenge. Not this contract. If they don't win, it won't be because of this contract.
Right. And you bring up a good point. So Justin Jefferson, from our knowledge that we know, has not thrown a football to either caught a football from either Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy that we know of, right? Maybe they snuck someone down somewhere at some point. They got to know each other. But you know that the Vikings must have had conversations with Justin about who they bring in. At the end of last year, and if you remember, and I forget what podcast it was, Justin was talking about how it kind of came out that he wanted a veteran. He didn't want a rookie. He wanted a veteran quarterback. So everyone just took that, and myself included, oh, well, Kirk is coming back. He wants it. What JJ wants, JJ gets. Well, in essence, he still got it. He has a veteran quarterback coming in terms of Sam Darnold, how long he's going to be the starter or what happens, whatnot. And then they get J.J. McCarthy as well. So it'll be interesting in this mini camp and in training camp to see how quickly they do get on the same page. But Jim, you would think there would have to have been some discussion with Justin Jefferson about the quarterback situation, about who's going to throw to him.
Yeah, but
not his permission, but just a discussion.
I think that's exactly right. In modern management, modern sports management, they want their stars to feel like they're part of this deal. They want them to feel like they're included.
Well, they want them to sign the deal.
Yeah, well, that too, yes. But it doesn't mean you hand over authority or responsibility to the player, but you just want them to be involved. And frankly, it's just smart management. You don't want to hear after the fact that Justin Jefferson hates Sam Darnold. You want to make sure you got to check the boxes. You got to do your due diligence. So they didn't let Justin Jefferson dictate what they did at the quarterback position, but I'm sure they included him in the conversation.
Well, and especially where this new regime say they base themselves on communication. you know? And I'm not saying it's like the defense, where Brian Flores says, hey, I'll listen to them, sometimes incorporate what they say. I'm not saying that, but if their whole foundation of being different in this regime is about communication and inclusion and having the players have a say and stuff, you'd have to think that there were conversations with Justin Jefferson about the quarterback position. And again, yes, not permission, not like, well, who do you want? Or this is what we're going to get, but kind of like, hey, what are your thoughts? Sam Darnold, that kind of thing. And who knows? Maybe at some point they have met. Maybe they have had a little sesh that was under the radar. I don't know. But it'll be really nice to get this circus out of the way rather than this is just purely selfish on my part, rather than the daily speculation of when are they going to sign him? Oh, look at him. He's coming with a smile. He's shown up and he's doing his thing. Are the Vikings going to get this done? It's done. I don't know when the ink is going on the paper or if it already has, but, they agreed to terms. They're signing him. He's the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, and he gets his due for everything he has done for this team. And now, they can get to work. It's about the game now.
No doubt about it. And by the way, Jeff Diamond does a show on this network, former Vikings general manager. Jeff Diamond's Vikings and NFL Insider. He basically predicted $35 million a year, 4 or 5 years. He's been way ahead of the curve on so many Vikings stories. We also have the Viking Update Show with myself and John Krasinski. And of course, Dawn and I will talk about the Vikings a lot this year. We talk about men's sports, women's sports, the business, and we will hit the Vikings hard, but we will also always include women's sports as well. Well, Timberwolves season was over. I've thought it was an absolute blast. I don't say that about every team or every season, even with some winning teams, but this team was a blast. We're now on to the Minnesota Twins, who are playing very well and just got Royce Lewis back. I went to the Minnesota Lynx game on Sunday night. That is probably the most surprising good team in the WNBA. Well, of course, we'll talk about the Minnesota Aurora. So let's get to it all here on Dawn of Sports, starring Dawn Mitchell from Fox 9. Brandon Morton's our producer. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio. And we want to thank Rudy Luther Toyota and Beta Bay Boat Club. Best way to listen to this show or any of our many shows at talknorth.com. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen, and we do appreciate it. Dawn, how are you?
I'm doing great. I think I have a little bit of a Timberwolves hangover, though.
Oh, me too.
I can't shake it off yet. I can't. I have to get into summer mode.
Well, you get into that, and especially when you're like traveling with the team and covering the games on a daily, and then you're going to the practices and the shoot arounds and all the interview sessions. I mean, it becomes your life, and it reminded me back in the day when I was a Viking or a Twins beat writer, and you're there with the team every minute of every day. And it's fun, and it's kind of cool to be getting to know people and getting to be familiar with them. But you can't do anything else with your life. It absolutely upends the rest of your life. That's all you really do.
Right. That's why I want to give a shout out, Pierre Nugent. So what we do at Fox 9 is, of course, we all four of us, we cover all the teams. But in order to really cover the teams, we have mini beats. And that's Pierre is with the Timberwolves. And I am telling you, he did a phenomenal job because Pierre would be there when they weren't winning. And I'm anchoring on a Friday night, and he would be there and cover the game and, talk to Rudy when no one else was there. It was like crickets in the arena. So the fact that he did such a great job for us. But it was just fun for me too, because we had all these specials, and now we have the Fox local app where we have like hours of streaming shows. So you just really kind of get into the groove. It was really nice to be immersed in basketball because I love basketball. So to kind of go along for the ride that way and to see you, Jim, because you were getting on a plane, getting up, doing your podcast, coming back, flying out. So kudos to you guys, because that's a long, long, fun stretch. But still, you kind of have to get your life back in a way.
Yeah, I don't mind getting my life. I mean, I would have enjoyed covering the Wolves all the way through if that's what happened. But when it ended, I was like, okay, I'll start my summer now.
Hit the restart button in a different way.
And, this show, we talk about women's sports, we talk about men's sports, we talk about all journalism, all kinds of other stuff. This is also a show where we can kind of go off and onto some tangents. And, one thing I realize every time, like my band played at a big gig on Saturday, like an outdoor festival.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed it.
No. You don't have to come to all our gigs. I think you're going to be one of our downtown gig people.
Oh, I like that. I'm the downtown girl. Is that like an uptown girl, but just
you're kind
reversed?
you're going to be like, you're going to come to the Lynx shows. Maybe you'll come to the basement bar, stuff like that. I think that, but you can come to any of them, but don't feel like you need to come to all of them. We have a lot of gigs this summer. It's not a job, but whenever I'm in a setting like that and I end up talking to sports fans, I realize how often we just assume that they know how this business works. And often they don't know, or they don't care. They've never given any thought. And, like you said, mini beats. Right. I think a lot of people don't understand that there are like beat reporters who are assigned to teams. And that's a different job than what I do, which is write columns on anything I want. And you who cover, you cover the Vikings, but you also cover other teams, and you're kind of responsible for everything. It's just, you and I are in a little different situation than a true beat person.
Correct. Yeah, because people are like, well, what do you do on the weekend? So I'm like, well, I anchor the sports, right. And we have 15 minutes and I write it. I watch the games, I write it, I do that. So I'm following the teams, I'm covering the teams. I'm just not at the games, because you can't write a show and anchor. We don't have producers at Fox 9 in our sports department. What people don't understand is what you see on the air, we have written. I've done the graphics. If there's a typo, they're like, it was me. I mess it up. So we do the graphics. We write everything. We structure everything. We just can't jockey it in the booth for time, and people don't know what that means. But we have a producer that will stay from the newscast and and count me down for time. I can't. If I could figure out a way to do that, I'd probably do that too. Wow. So it's a whole different life. It's not like I just show up and someone else has done the work and then I just read it. That's not how it works. So people are like, wow, you're really up on the Twins and on the Lynx. You haven't been, well, just because I'm not physically there on a Friday and Saturday, because I can't anchor from the studio a 15-minute show and be there at the same time. So people don't realize that. And then during the week, because when you're an anchor reporter, people don't know what that means. So I'll anchor I'm the weekend sports anchor, and during the week I'm a reporter. And my mini beat, and it's not really mini, is Vikings. And
that's
then when the Vikings,
beat.
It's a maxi beat. So if anything happens with the Vikings, that's, and it's not my sole responsibility because we are also the Vikings partners for the past few years. So all of us contribute to the Vikings, but that was my specific beat. For the longest time. And then in the summer, it's Lynx, it's Twins, it's Aurora, because we're partners with them. And that's a whole different thing when people say, what do you mean partners? They don't realize that there's partnerships that teams and TV stations get into financially. That means you have to provide pregame shows and postgame shows and halftime stuff. So yeah, it gets to be a lot, but people are like, wow, oh, I didn't know that. And I said, well, I don't know anything about, stocks and bonds. So I wouldn't imagine you didn't know the inner workings of it, one guy said, I do your job and my job every day. Not quite.
Yeah, no. Watching
just
the
because
game
you're
on
a
TV
sports fan doesn't mean you're doing it.
Yeah, I had this conversation with Tori Hunter once. She was like, people would tell him, "You're just playing a game. You're not really. It's not really a job." He said, "If you can get fired, it's a job."
Yeah, that's true.
That's the perfect definition. If you can get fired from it, it's a job.
Oh, I love that. Yes. Tori also said a long time ago, and I always remember this too. But he was on the like a hitting streak. And I wanted to talk to him, but we didn't have to talk about the streak, but he was my one-on-one interview. And I said, hey, Tori, are we still on to talk today? He's like, yeah, why wouldn't we be? And I said, well, because of, he goes, oh, because my hitting streak? And I looked at him, I go, I wasn't going to say anything. And he goes, Dawn, there are no jinxes, only blessings. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's pretty good. I actually don't believe in jinxes. So it's another way I agree with Tori Hunter.
So I like that. If you can be fired, it's a job.
It's a job. That's exactly right. And by the way, one last media thing here before we get to actual sports. Pierre did a great job during the run. And this is a real, I hope Minnesotans understand they got great Timberwolves coverage this year.
Yes.
Obviously people like Pierre are there a lot and know the team. The beat writers are really good. I have John Krasinski on this podcast.
Fantastic.
He does a great job. We had the governor on last week on that show, and Chris Hine from my paper is fantastic.
I love
the Star
Chris.
Tribune rolled out 1 million people to help cover the team. You got to read Chip and Royce as well, and myself writing columns and Lavelle. And then, and then there are independent journalists who cover the team like Dane Moore, who do a great job on their own. Jace Frederick does a great job for this. So this is
it goes on and on, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like you're saying these names, I'm like, yes.
As you're going to find. So I hope people appreciated that, not just the coverage from Talk North, not just the coverage from Star Tribune, but that there are a lot of good people who are working their butts off to give you good stuff on that team. And that team is worthy of it.
It's so worthy. And you know what? Some people, they don't realize it's really hard sometimes if you're a writer to just turn around and quickly and be thrown on TV. You know how that is. They're different beasts. And a shout out to Chris and to John Krasinski. Chris Hine and John came on our pregame shows and our specials, because we did a lot of coverage, and they were fantastic. I just love it. And I know that now over the past, I would say 10 years or so, because of like ESPNs and different places, we now see a lot of the beat writers and the writers be put on TV, but sometimes it's not always a natural thing. And I just want to give a shout out. I have not run into anyone in the Twin Cities market that you can't just put on a podcast or a television show. It doesn't matter if the cameras come on. They're not like, Cindy Brady, where they get, smooth. They add so much. It was a joy for me to really kind of dive in that way into basketball again.
And by the way, the key to being on TV or a podcast or radio is making it sound easier than it is. And it's not as easy as the good ones make it sound, because when I started doing radio, when I started doing TV hits as a beat writer in my younger life, I was terrible. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. I was too self-conscious. I was nervous, and it took me repetitions to get to a point where it was comfortable. And now I don't even think twice about it. But it's not as easy as the people who are good at it make it look.
I wouldn't imagine you to be nervous. That's interesting to me.
Honestly, I used to be afraid of everything, including I used to be afraid of heights. I used to be afraid of speaking. In high school, I couldn't get up in front of the class and read like a report. I couldn't do it.
Really?
I absolutely couldn't do it. Somewhere in college, I kind of just broke down all those phobias and got over it all. But even then, again, until the first few times I did TV or radio, I was so nervous I couldn't function. And it just took me time to get over that.
Oh, wow. Well, did you do something? Like, what did you just said, hey, finally,
I just got mad at myself.
Do it? Yeah.
Huh. I just kind of got mad at, I got tired of I got tired of not being able to do it well, and to do it well, you have to get over that stuff. So I just kind of yelled at myself until I got over it.
Believe it or not, I was, my mom would say, you're shy, but not quiet, So like I was never quiet, and sometimes I still can be shy. I'm definitely what they call an ambivert. I'm not like extroverted, have to talk all the time, but I'm not introverted. So it depends. I'm kind of an ambivert, but I used to be afraid to order pizza. Like even to call up on the phone and order pizza. If I had to go into a pizza shop and order it myself in person, fine. But to call on the phone, so I think of a lot of young kids now because they're afraid to use the phone, right? They text.
Yeah.
But I was like, even if you took texting away, I couldn't do it. So my parents. Fast forward to, now I'm in Boston. I graduated BC. You have to be your own, especially as a young woman, you have to be your own champion, and I'm getting into the sports world. Good Lord. And so I remember there was a restaurant in the North End called the European. It was in the North End of Boston. And it was like this famous it was like the oldest Italian restaurant in Boston at the time. And I took my parents there, and my mom and I together, if we couldn't find something at a store, we would not ask anyone. We would just like walk around and maybe we'd find it. My dad was like Brooklyn, bull in the China shop, where are the bras? We're like embarrassed, that kind of stuff. Right. I'm like, no, please just don't have dad ask. So here we are at the restaurant, and we get in there and they sit us at like the worst table. like by the door. We're everyone's coming and going, and we're getting elbowed by the waitresses. And finally I said, hold on. And I could tell my mom didn't like it, but she wouldn't say anything. So I went up and I said, hey, excuse me, is there another table we can have? They're like, oh yeah, we just thought you wanted first available. And they moved us. My parents are looking at me like, who is this child? She spoke up. She what? I go, and I even order on the phone now, and this business makes you talk to everybody. Once I started moving out of town and living on my own, you don't know anyone in an entire city and you have to do everything. It totally has changed who I am, but still sometimes I'm that person like, I don't really want to go over. If it's for work, hey, go on over there. It's Jerry Rice asking for an interview. Absolutely. I'll go up to him. But if it's in my personal life, hey, why don't you go over and talk to that person? I'm like, I don't. Okay. It still takes a second.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same way. Hey, today's guest, Harrison Phillips. Dawn did a great job lining him up. Dawn's conversation with him is coming up. We talk about women's sports, but we also talk about men's sports. We will do a lot of Vikings this year. We did a lot of Timberwolves during that run, but we do try to at least bring women's sports onto the same level playing field as the men's sports. And I was at the Lynx game last night, and
so
that, I pointed it out. I don't know how many people are really aware that there were 10 games under 500 combined the last two regular seasons. This has not been going well. Aerial Powers didn't work out. Natalie Chunwa didn't work out. They missed out on some free agents they really wanted to get. And this team is 6-2 and right at the top of every important statistic in basketball. And they didn't really bring in any stars. It's fascinating. Collier's great. Caleb McBride's playing really well, but this is not a roster that blows you away, but the way they're playing is fantastic.
And even with their rookie draft pick, where a lot of people are scratching their head when they passed basically on getting Angel Reese, and they got Alyssa Peely and Peely this weekend, not this past game on Sunday, but Friday, she dumped in 20 points.
Yep.
So it's one of those like, oh, are we starting to see what Cheryl saw? I love it when she polishes a gem. And sometimes, you have to go through rough years because you're not getting the draft picks. If you, after years of winning, you've got to start rebuilding and retooling. And sometimes it takes a couple of years. But, when you go, oh my goodness, they're 6-2. They beat Dallas. They're third. They're in third place. Like, wow. I've been following them, but we've been in Timberwolves. We've been in, for me, I've been in Vikings OTAs and all this stuff, but I've been keeping an eye on the Lynx. And I was like, oh my goodness, especially Friday night. And then Sunday, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to even dig in deeper on this team. You said something in your article that I really loved, and I wrote it down this morning because, I wake up and I read all the stories usually. It doesn't matter if it's an off day. And it says, winning the off season is such a difference from winning this season. And Jim, that was really powerful because people are like, oh, who'd they get? What? They don't get these splashy names, but they have a lot of international players that I think are going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's very promising, and it's a fun brand of basketball too. They really move the ball, they play together, so I think they're going to be a lot of fun. Moving on to the Minnesota Aurora, we always give you at least a Minnesota Aurora moment. They are now 2-0-1. I don't know about this tying stuff. I mean, we just expect just domination all the time.
Yeah. Well, is this their second tie, I think, this season?
Oh, second tie? Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's their second tie.
I might have gotten the record wrong.
Yeah, I believe it's their second. But it's, that's what you get. I'm surprised that there wasn't more in the first 2 years, to be honest with you, because in soccer, there's so many draws, right?
They've been so good. It's almost weird when they only tie,
I know. But you know what? This is the way I'm looking at it. Yeah, you can be dominant. They started their very first season. They had a tie, and then they've won every single rest. The regular season. But they didn't win the championship game. So this is the way my brain goes. They can tie all they want, just don't lose and win the championship game this year.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I think.
Yeah, and I need to get out there. The Timberwolves took me out of the loop for a little bit. Now I have all kinds of other things going on, but I definitely need to catch up with the Aurora. Have you been to a game yet?
I haven't, but I've had the chance to. I did some media training with the team. So I got to know a lot of the young women, and both Ahmad Hicks and I sat down and we're doing 4 stories each. So every home game that is on Fox 9 Plus, we're having a halftime intermission feature, which when I was a kid growing up, that's what I loved about the Bruins. Like I got into this business because of the intermission feature. So I love that for soccer as well. So my upcoming intermission feature for Thursday's game, I believe, is goalkeeper Taylor Kane. And she's got a really cool story because she is from Santa Barbara, California, but played in Iowa. And so you know what Iowa had with Caitlin Clark, so to be a female athlete in Iowa this past year, and plus their soccer team were the Big Ten champions. But in addition, her family relocates for the entire summer. They leave. And then they come here, they rent a house, they're on Lake Minnetonka, they stay here the entire summer, and they're basically the home base for a lot of the, they'll have the girls over for homemade meals and a boat ride on the lake. And what people may not realize is, these women are young. A lot of them are just in college. And so they're living in dorms when they come here. They're not from here. A lot of them are international this year. So we have a player from France, New Zealand, I believe, Italy. So they're from all over and they're living in dorms. So to have a home cooked meal at the Canes house. So I love that I get to dig in a little deeper and get to know who these young women are. So I'm looking forward to getting out to I believe Thursday is their next home game. So
yes,
looking forward to that.
Beautiful. All right. Great stuff. Next week, we'll talk more about the Twins who are hanging in there. They're having a good season, but for some reason, the Guardians are playing way over their heads right now. It'll be interesting to see if they can chase them down. So, hey, we want to thank Beta Bay Boat Club.
Beta Bay Boat Club offers a limited number of season-long memberships in our private club and half-day or full-day pontoon boat rentals on Lake Minnetonka. Members have the opportunity to play on luxurious pontoon boats as well as a variety of well-appointed deck boats, speedboats, and offshore boats. Our daily pontoon boats are deluxe, custom-built boats with many amenities and comfortable seating for up to 14 people. Beta Bay Boat Club, Country Club Boating, 24 years in business and voted Minnesota's best 3 years in a row. Please visit us at betabayboatclub.com for more information. We look forward to welcoming you this summer.
And we'll give a big thanks to Rudy Luther Toyota. They've been supporting these podcasts and women's sports for so long.
Ready for a women-forward car dealership? Rudy Luther Toyota empowers their many women on staff in sales, management, and service. Whether you are looking for a new Toyota or pre-owned vehicle, Rudy Luther Toyota has something for everyone. Every vehicle comes with a Luther Advantage. 10 cents off fuel and car wash discounts at holiday stations, Luther Advantage warranty, and 5-day return policy on pre-owned vehicles. Located just 5 minutes west of downtown Minneapolis, off 394 and General Mills Boulevard. And they're also hiring. Want to join the team but don't know where to start? Visit rudyluthertoyota.com today.
And again, we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio. And Dawn, you want to set up your chat with Harrison?
Oh, I would love it. Everyone knows Harrison Phillips when he hits the football field, but there's so much that he also does away from the field. And he went rushing in to help people in his native Nebraska when they went through those tornadoes. He is constantly helping young families here also in Minnesota. And he is a badass on the football field. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Horrible Harry, who's not so horrible, you guys. He's amazing. I think he needs a new nickname, but you got to be intimidated on the football field. So Harrison Phillips is coming up. Well, welcome back, everyone, to Dawn of Sports. This is Dawn, of course, and I'm really excited to bring my next guest for you. A 7-year NFL veteran, third going into for the Vikings. 4 years previous, before coming to Minnesota, was with the Buffalo Bills. He's coming off his best year in the NFL. 82 tackles, 34 solo, 48 assists, 2 plays defended, 3 big sacks. We, of course, are welcoming in Vikings defensive tackle Harrison Phillips. Harrison, thanks for joining the show today. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me on.
When you look at your numbers coming in, and you're coming off your best year yet as a 7-year vet, that's awesome for you. Are you feeling the best that you have in your career coming on?
Yeah, I really am. I mean, it was really cool last year. You don't really know when you're in the thick of it. I'm not a huge stat guy, but then when the season finished and my agents reached out and said, Harrison, like 92 tackles is no joke. And they went back and found out that no nose guard had registered 92 tackles in like 25 years in the National Football League. And obviously, this is a sack driven league. So this offseason, that's what I've been working on is just dial in the pass rush. We have a new defensive line coach, MD. Who had spent some time with Aaron Donald, the best to do it inside, and doing a lot of new drills. So I'm excited to see if you go and just look at history, most NFL defensive linemen kind of hit their, most of those Pro Bowl, all pro type players are hitting their strides in year 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are the years that are their prime years. So I'm excited to see what my ceiling could be in the NFL.
I am too, and I want to talk a little bit more about Marcus Dixon, your new D-line coach. But first, we'd be remiss if we did not deal and address the elephant in the room today. And you probably have heard Justin Jefferson signing that 4-year, $140 million deal, the extension to stay with the club. They always say a rising tide lifts all boats, and you guys all like to celebrate each other's wins. How does this resonate with you and the rest of the team to have JJ on board now?
I couldn't be happier. I'm so ecstatic from that kid. I mean, when I got here, I've been around a lot of great players in my career and a lot of, I would say a handful of generational talent type people. And Justin stands out amongst all of them. I mean, he's so humble. He's so diligent and dedicated to his craft. I saw him today. I'm in the facility right now. He was in here with a giant smile. He saw me first, called me out. Harrison, man, how you doing? I go over, give him a hug, and congratulate him. And all he says is, "Oh, we're just getting started. Now the work starts." And I mean, that is a hell of an answer of someone who just signed a contract like that. Some guys might want to let off the gas, and he's trying to find the NOS button.
You know what I really love too? There's a couple of guys that were free agents the past couple of years that have pulled me aside and said, what he does, no other superstar does. At least not that we've dealt with. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, he came over to me. I'm a new guy. I just got here. He put his arm around me and he's chatting me up and he's talking with me and he's like inviting me and doing all this stuff and giving me encouraging words. And he said, the other teams I've been on, first of all, sometimes the vets don't. Second of all, a superstar like Justin Jefferson, no, they don't do that. That speaks to what kind of person he is, doesn't it?
Yeah. One of the all-time best, and they should already start ordering his bust for Canton. I mean, he's that type of player and he's that type of person. So couldn't be happier for him.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about you called him MD, Marcus Dixon. We met him for a little bit at OTAs. I really liked him, your new defensive line coach. What do you like about him so far? I know it's just early in the goings and tomorrow starts your mandatory mini camp, so it's all still kind of fresh. But what are your early impressions?
My early impressions is that he's not going to let us get away with nothing. It seems like he's a really strict guy, and that's good because you can get certain stages in your career where you might think you have something figured out or you might be stuck in your old ways, but this guy is going to sharpen every tool that you have, add a few to your belt, and push you beyond where you think you need to be pushed. And I'm a type of player who is my own hardest critic, and I'm always trying to work, always trying to do more, but to have a coach that's also trying to pull that out of you is great. And, I think what's, not getting talked about as much, but him paired with Pat Hill, our assistant D-line coach who took over as our head D-line coach last season. I mean, we pretty much have two head D-line coaches for the Minnesota Vikings because of their experience having done it at this level. And I think that we'll all benefit from that.
Oh, absolutely. That goes hand in hand. He has the familiarity with you, Hill does, and now he can help Marcus in that next. And also, Marcus comes in knowing head coach Kevin O'Connell. So, familiarity also really kind of trickles down to the rest of the coaching staff when someone comes in and knows someone really well. And you can feel that, can't you?
Yeah, for sure.
So 3 sacks last year. You have 6 career. We know it's not all about sacks, but what is it about this scheme or let's even say lack of scheme because things change up front so much with all the stunts and the disguises you do. What is it about this Brian Flores defense and the coaches that you have up front that just energizes you guys up front, especially so you playing your best years?
Yeah, I think it just kind of all comes together and makes a lot of sense. They do put you in fun positions where you're able to move quite a bit, but also play some technique. You know, um, it's interesting because the scheme's always developing. And so this offseason, when we've been talking about me specifically in this interview, we're looking for sometimes it's difficult to be aligned in a certain position and stunting a certain direction. So you're stepping laterally while it's a pass play and they're going backwards and the ball comes out fast and all these things that can kind of drive your sack numbers a little bit lower. And so
Mhm.
that's what we've been working on a lot this season is figuring out, how can we just win with an interior rush and not have to bring as many every time and this and that. And I think that that's something that is a motivator for me to continue to work on these things that MDs bring in these pass rush drills, because there could be chances that I do get some one-on-one blocks and we do encourage the quarterback to hold that football for a little bit longer, that we could hopefully get those sack numbers up. And that's what I'm working for.
And I know you're busy blocking guys, so you're not really looking all the time at the quarterback unless you're going after him specifically. But sometimes, you're leaving that to the outside guys. But what have you seen that you've liked in this short amount of time from Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy, the new guys on campus?
I think that the whole room is trying to elevate the whole room. There's not a Obviously it's chronically competitive in there, but it's helpful competition and it's answering questions competition, and it's as a room, how good of a quarterback room can we be this year? And I think that's really inspiring to see. Man, I can't tell you the amount of times that you're seeing these. A throw will happen in 7-on-7, and guys will turn their head and make eye contact. Like, did you see what I just saw? And that goes from all four of those guys in there. And so since it's so early and there's not full speed, no pads, all that stuff, you
Right.
take it with a grain of salt. But I'm telling you, we have some arm talent in that room.
Oh my gosh. I think a lot of fans are going to be loving hearing that from your words right now. I'm waiting for camp and training camp. Another reason I wanted to have you on, you and I spoke when we were on Fox 9, but I just love the person that you are away from the field. And you're the kind of person that every single time you talk to you or you find out something more about you, you're even more impressed and you come away more like, wow, that's even better than I thought. So you're going on your third year with the Vikings. And I want to tell you this, you may not know, it was your first year here, and someone from the front office said, do you know that Harrison Phillips, he comes up to us every single day and wants to know what he can do outside of the football field today. Is there something you need me to do? Is there anything in the community, anything for the team? And that you kept doing that every day. And that was year one that they're like, keep an eye on this guy. He's impressive. And this is from just the inside team people. Harrison Playmakers, but you also helped out with Omaha Rapid Response, with Salvation Army when they had their tornado. You just have a huge heart for giving too, as well as a huge presence on the line.
Yeah, it's just a part of who I am. It's my DNA, and I look forward to some of the amazing memories and the amazing lives that we've been able to touch and grow from. I feel like it's my duty, it's my calling with the platform that I have, and the more success that I'm able to gain on the field, the easier it is to reach and touch another life. And so it's another motivator for me. And just trying to have it that the day that I meet my maker, he sees more of a reflection of himself.
Well, it also speaks volumes that your Harrison Playmakers, now you've got different chapters. Sometimes when someone leaves a team, their foundation kind of comes with them to the next. But your Buffalo is still going strong. Minnesota is going strong. What do you love most about what you have built? When we talked, you're the chef, bottle washer, cook, everything when it comes to this foundation, which is pretty impressive. People don't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm very impressed with just the volume of work that we do, the amount of events that we do, the amount of lives that we touch. 2 weeks ago, I had my camp here in Minnesota, 450 people at TCO Stadium. This last weekend, I just got back from Western New York, where I put on a camp with over 550 people. Next week, I'm going to Omaha to my high school to put on my event there. And it's just rapidly growing, and it started with individuals with Down syndrome and autism, and now we have individuals with spina bifida, we have visually impaired, we have deaf, hard of hearing. We have a lot of different Harrison's Playmakers, and so that's just allowed me to continue to grow, allow us to get more pups that come in. And it was really special this last weekend when I was back in Western New York, because I know that we have some hard of hearing and nonverbal folks that are Harrison's Playmakers. I've been teaching myself sign language through a class online in San Francisco, and was able to communicate with one of my playmakers I've never got to communicate with before because of the hard of hearing. And so just constantly trying to evolve myself as a better, well-rounded human so that I can touch as many lives as I can. And just use my platform for good.
How did that make you feel when you could communicate and use the sign language that you're learning?
Oh, it was really special. And I realized when Lila's nurse, when she started to get watery eyes, and then some of the family members around that were with their kids came over, some guys started taking pictures and videos just to see how special that moment was. And I know in Omaha, I have a handful of folks that I should be able to communicate with better too. So it meant a lot. I think I kind of shocked Lila when I started to say, "Hey, I understand you. My name is Harrison and I play football. Who's this that's with you? What was your favorite part of today? Are you having fun?" Just small. I'm only on like lesson 7 or 8, so I'll give you some slack here, but I'm working.
Hey, if you can spell out the words and then some of the actions of the words, you can piece it together. It's the effort showing that you find that child and that person worthy of communicating in their way. That means so much to them.
100%. 100%.
And I also want to give you kudos, a big shout out for the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for the Vikings. And I loved your jacket. And for those of you who are listening and you don't know, inside Harrison's jacket, you had all of the names. You said you have 1,400 reasons to be standing on that platform. Can you tell us about that and why you wanted that on the inside of your jacket and who those names were?
Yeah, so King Rose Clothers out here in the Twin Cities has been doing some really great work for me in my suit game, and so I told them I came with an idea. I've been pretty solid at reflecting and deflecting some of the attention that my foundation has brought on me and bringing it to the others. But hey, you're at the NFL honors on stage in front of all these people. Like, it's kind of hard. The eyes are on you. And I said, well, what's some way that I can get them back on the kids that I want and the young adults that I work with? And so we got a list of some of our playmakers who have come to the most events in my 3 cities. And on the inside of the jacket, based on color, from green for Omaha, my high school colors, purple for Minnesota, and blue for the New York Friends, we put names of my playmakers so that they knew that, this nomination, this recognition, this award is not for me, it's for you.
Oh, that is amazing. I didn't even know it was the King brothers that did that. I love them.
Yeah.
They're good dudes.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, they're great. I can't pub them enough. And to be able to have a suit fit me as broad as my shoulders are and stuff like that, they do a really great job.
Oh, they do. They do. Well, is there anything going into your 3rd year here with the Vikings that you would like to share with any of the listeners and the fans there that they may not know about you that, you'd really want someone to know?
Shoot. That's tough. I just got a list of questions. Come on now. I would have been more prepared. But no, I'm an open book. I would say to anybody, if you see me out, come up and say hello. Like, I love that. I love fandom, and I understand that I can't do what I do and earn what I earn without you guys supporting us and appreciating us. I'm a firm believer in grit. I'm a firm believer in hard work. I'm a believer in the American dream. And if you reach for the stars, you only get the clouds. You're still higher than everybody else. And so I've seen a lot of that resembled here in the Twin Cities from the people that I've met. And so I don't know. I mean, that's kind of who I am. And I hope that I can go out and play a great season this year to earn another contract to come back here to Minnesota.
Well, I can tell you, I follow you on Instagram. I think you do Pilates. You never cease to amaze me. Is that what you were doing with your wife the other day? Was that like a reformer on there? Oh my goodness. Like, you're willing to try anything, aren't you?
Whatever it takes to get the body right. I got some great people over at Flex Wellness that, if it's body work, if it's Pilates, IVs, chiropractic, whatever we got to do to make sure I can be my best version for the Minnesota Vikings, I'll do.
Well, you are definitely a joy, first of all, to talk to. I love that you're learning sign language. Maybe I'll sign at you the next time. I have to kind of get mine up to speed a little bit, but I got the alphabet down and some words. And a good friend of mine, he's a big advocate. Maybe I should connect you for the deaf community here in Minnesota. But everything that you do, whether it's on the field or off the field, you are larger than life. But I have to tell you, it seems your heart is even bigger. So if we could clone you, That's what we would do, Harrison Phillips.
Yeah.
We would clone you and have a whole D line and maybe a whole army of Harrison Phillips. So I appreciate
we'd
you.
be able to. Yeah, that'd be nice to have somebody take a few snaps off. That'd be fun. Oh man!
Any way we can help. Right.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much, and God bless everybody.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and have a great season.